Cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of
G'day and welcome back to the channel Ginger Ninja's Movie Reviews. I am the Ginger Ninja and these are my movie reviews. If you're new to my channel, thank you very much for tuning in, stopping by and checking it out. You've come in at a pretty good time because, well, it's a Friday here in Australia and every Friday it's Franchise Friday. So I look at a movie from a franchise. We're going through the Wrong Turn series and last week we hit a bit of a road bump. Wrong Turn 3. Wow. That was pretty hard. That was a tough watch. And not in a good way. No. But let's see if things take a turn for the better with Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings. Came out in 2011 and was directed by Declan O'Brien. The film stars, and I apologise if I'm pronouncing any of these names wrong, Sean Skeen, Jenny Podovic, Tanika Davis, Caitlin Wong, Tara Nessner, I think that's right, I don't know, it could be wrong, and many more. Now, before I get into it again, I do want to say a big thank you to all my new and existing subscribers. This has been a phenomenal month for me. I do want to say a big thank you to everyone. I was voted Horror YouTuber of the Month, so thank you very much. But I've also put up 5 nominees for next month. If you haven't already, please do check that video out and vote for one of those 5 channels. They are all fantastic channels. They all deserve your recognition and a subscription to them as well. But don't forget to vote for which one you want to see as the next Horror YouTuber of the Month. Anyway, back to this. Now, the plot for this film, and as you can see, I've got the DVD here, and I've got that Sawtooth, I believe that one is. Yeah. This is the DVD here, as you can see. Nothing too flash, nothing too special, but there are some special features, including director's commentary, director's diaries, making another wrong turn, lifestyles of the sick and infamous, Wrong Turn 4, music video featuring the Blackout City Kids and deleted scenes. To be honest, I went into this with preconceived notions. That was my mistake. I watched the movie and I felt I was looking at it from a very harsh light because Wrong Turn 3 sucked. Like it really did. It was a huge disappointment compared to the previous films. So yeah, but thinking about this film, my review is quite non-biased. I've looked at it, I've taken the good and the bad, and let's get through it. So, what is this film about? Well, the plot is about a group of college students who get lost in a storm during their snowboarding trip or snowmobiling trip. And they take shelter in an abandoned sanitarium, which, unbeknownst to them, is home of these deformed, mutant, hillbilly cannibals. So yeah, this is a prequel of sorts. It is set before the previous films, but I don't know, part of the film is, sets up our cannibal hillbillies as young'uns, they're quite young. They're, I think, 8, 9, and 10 at this insane asylum. And then the rest after on is, I don't know if it's set after the first 2 films or after the first 3 films or before. It wasn't really clear unless I missed something. So I'm not quite sure if the whole thing is a prequel or if it's a prequel and then a sequel. It could be both. But I will say this, it definitely was an improvement from Wrong Turn 3. So let's get into this, shall we? Okay, now, first things first, let's have a look at the cast. And the cast of actors do a fine job. They do their best with what they're given. There's no doubt these are fine young actors. I don't know if a lot of them have done more. They're not big names, but none of their characters are very likable in any way. I could have cared less if any of them lived or died, you know. In fact, some of them could have died a lot sooner. The actors are not to blame for that, though. They've done a solid job. But the characters are just unlikable. They lack depth, and it does make it difficult to, well, for an audience to connect or empathize with their plight. And as a result, when they meet their grisly fates, it's really hard to feel a real sense of loss or tension. You know, you're kind of watching these characters bite the bullet and, yeah, next. Okay, so we discussed the actors and they were fine. And their characters, well, that comes down to the writing. And like I said, there is just not a single likable trait amongst them. Nothing was written about these characters that felt like these were nice people. You know, that's all I can say. Like, I really didn't care for them at all. But that comes down to the way they were written. The setting, however, is really effective in a very creepy tone because it's an abandoned asylum. When is that not creepy? You know, and it's very different to what we've seen in previous films. Like, we've seen them in the forest, in the woods. So taking them from a woodland setting into a, building, like into a really large maze-like building in a way, it works well. It's quite effective. That being said, the overall plot of Wrong Turn 4 is rather thin, and it relies heavily on the formulaic structure of your standard horror genre. And look, the concept of exploring the origin of this cannibalistic family of hillbillies has potential, and they did touch on that in Wrong Turn 2. But they've kind of steered away from the chemical exposure that was mentioned about the paper mill. They've steered clear of that. They really didn't mention anything about that in here. It was all inbreeding and whatnot. But the execution of this film overall lacks, well, it feels uninspired and it lacks depth. And I said that about the characters. They lack depth as well. This whole movie is very just on the level, like there's nothing more to it. The narrative kind of feels like it's a series of gruesome encounters rather than a cohesive story with meaningful character development, which, sometimes that's what we're after, not just watching these characters make really dumb decisions. But I mean, that is kind of typical for the genre, right? The pacing is also a little bit uneven, with long stretches of exposition and character interactions, punctuated by these bursts of frantic violence. And look, this erratic pacing does disrupt the flow of the narrative and makes it difficult for the audience, well, for me anyway, to stay engaged with the film. Scenes drag on without contributing significantly to the overall story, while the action sequences are rushed and rather chaotic. There is a really good one where, and this will go into the effects, but there is a great scene where one of the female characters gets caught up in a noose made of barbed wire, and the hillbillies pull her up. That scene was just perfectly timed. Like, it just felt good. Did a really good job. And like I said, there are some of these scenes which I'll touch on the effects, which are chef's kiss, really good. Okay, so you know what's coming up now. It's the effects. As a horror fan, we love our gruesome, bloody effects. And, it is called Bloody Beginnings. So you're hoping for a bit of blood, right? Well, one thing about this film, and one thing I really appreciated, was that it does not hold back on the gore. And it doesn't use a lot of CGI either. There are some really good scenes, especially in that first 15 minutes, where one of the doctors is ripped limb from limb and very minimal CGI. Some visual effects, yes. Minimal CGI. It looks good. The limbs being torn, being pulled, look good. I mentioned that scene where the woman gets a noose around her neck made of barbed wire and it's cutting into her, and there's just blood gushing out onto a character below. Fantastic. Like, it looked good. And this film, like, it just did not pull those punches back. There's buckets of blood, body parts flying everywhere. It was good. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, but if you're a fan of over-the-top horror and gore, you're in for a treat. And this is such a visual improvement on the CGI crapfest that was the third film. Now, rewatchability, that's a tough one. It is. Look, I didn't like the characters. I love seeing them get taken out, but it's not enough to make me want to rewatch this straight away. And yes, it is more rewatchable than the third installment, but it still fails to reach the heights of the original or its fantastic sequel. I feel that overall so far, 1 and 2, miles above the rest. But due to the steep decline it took with the third one, it's going to take it's got to do something good to really come back from that. Now, I probably would rewatch this, but if I did, I'd be doing it as Wrong Turn 1, 2, and 4. So far. 5 and 6 may fit into that. We'll see. Okay, so final thoughts. Look, while Wrong Turn 4 Bloody Beginnings is a disappointing entry into the franchise, it's a massive improvement on the last film. And it'll definitely satisfy fans of the series that are craving more gore and violence. But ultimately, it will fail to leave a lasting impression. I don't remember a single one of those characters' names at all. Wrong Turn 1, Wrong Turn 2, I remember the characters, I remember the actors. They will leave an impression. Wrong Turn 3, I'm still trying to forget. Overall, for a score, I would give this film a 6 out of 10. And there you have it. That is my review of Wrong Turn 4 Bloody Beginnings. Have you seen this film? What did you think of it? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the entire franchise of these films, because you're getting close to the end of this one, so hopefully it'll get better, or it'll stay. If it stays like this, I don't care if the characters are crap. If there's a good story, if I enjoy the story, I like the actors, as long as I can see them get gruesomely murdered, I'm cool with that. I'll enjoy that. But let me know what you thought of the movie down in the comments below. If you've made it this far and you haven't done it already, please do hit that thumbs up button. It'd be much appreciated. And of course, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that way you're notified every time I do release a new review. I've got my Franchise Fridays, obviously. I am doing more watch-alongs, more live streams. What else have I got? I've got my Trashy Tuesdays. We've just... I think by the time I put this one out, I would have finished Toxic Avenger. So they were fun. I do want to do more trauma films. So if you've got any suggestions for trauma films, hit me up down below. I'm going to be looking at more 80s apocalypse films because they're just a lot of fun. But anything you want to see, let me know down below. We will have a new franchise coming up after this. I'll pop a poll up down below. I've got 2 which I'm leaning towards. So we'll see what they're going to be. But anyway, before I blather on too much, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.